So happy to talk to you again. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, guys. I missed you. It's good to be back with you and see my happy group right here and join you and get back to talking some real football here.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's no better person to have on to break down the Broncos' new signing than you. Broncos just agreed to terms with wide receiver Josh Reynolds, of course, formerly a Lions wide receiver. What are the Broncos getting with Josh Reynolds?
Well, hopefully he won't do what he did in that playoff loss.
Yeah.
Where he had some key drops. But Josh Reynolds look, you go back to his days with the Rams. He's a big receiver that I think more of a possession guy than a guy that's just going to take it to the house. But, I mean, a guy that has a lot of experience in this league, has worked with a number of, really good quarterbacks, whether it's Jared Goff, that he was with him with the Rams, with him in Detroit right here. He's worked with a lot of good coordinators. Most recently, Ben Johnson. They really liked him in Detroit a great deal. But, they've got some young guys that they just need, they're stealing reps from some of these Jameson Williams, some of these type of players, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, he's available. So, look, after you trade Jerry Jeudy away, I mean, there's a need for receivers, period. And you have limited draft picks. You better go find a guy that has some experience right now.
It's pretty obvious that the Broncos are going to go with a quarterback first round of the draft. They need one. How do you feel about this supporting cast via the wide receivers, tight ends, running backs? Do you feel like it's a good group for a young quarterback to come in and win with?
Well, I think, Javonte will be 2 years removed from that injury. Jaleel, I think they got some backs. The center position is still a position of need, I believe, after losing Cushenberry. But the offensive line should be pretty good. I think it's okay. I don't think it's elite at this point or anything like that when you look around at what Kansas City has, what the Raiders have, what the Chargers maybe might have. I don't think it's what you would want to go win a division, but I think that it's serviceable at this point. Cortland, the tight end, Trotman, the tight ends, the backs. I think it's okay.
The Broncos are meeting with Jayden Daniels today when he's done with his pro day. Is that something that we should get excited about hearing, or is that just them doing their due diligence?
Do people know that he won the Heisman? Do they even know what people won? It's really bad. I feel like people mention Jayden Daniels and LSU. They forget the type of year that this kid just had. Yeah. He was sensational. I don't know, it's hard to believe that he would ever be there at 12. I think the Broncos got to be super aggressive in order to go get Jayden Daniels, if that's a guy that they covet. He's got a unique skill set. I mean, he is an elite runner. He's kind of a narrow frame guy, but Malik Neighbors did lead LSU in a university that has in a history of great receivers. He's the all-time leading receiver. Well, he wouldn't have done it without Jayden Daniels. So he's an elite talent. He looks like he sort of predetermines to run more than you want, but when he does run, he's just one of those guys that could go a long, long ways. And he's very elusive. He's a great runner, but he's also a great thrower. And you got to talk to all these guys, though. You just do. There's probably 6 guys that all could be first round type players in this draft. You have to talk to them all.
Yeah, and Baldy, you mentioned he's not going to be there at 12. I totally agree with you. And the closer we get to the draft, unsurprisingly, quarterbacks just keep going up everyone's board. And now it seems like there might be 4 quarterbacks taken in the first 6 picks. So if Sean Payton falls in love with one of these guys, is it smart to trade up and give away future draft capital to go get one of these guys if Sean likes them? Or do you think the Broncos are in a position where they need to build the team around a quarterback first?
Well, Sean Payton wouldn't even be there in Denver if, back 7 years ago, he drafted Patrick Mahomes. When he was sitting there at 11, before Kansas City went from 24 to 10 to go get him. He'd still be in New Orleans. Yeah. And they probably would have a couple more Super Bowls too. So he knows, that's never going to go away from Sean Payton. So he knows if there's a guy that he feels like, and that year there was obviously a lot of other quarterbacks that went, Trubisky, all these guys that went. He's going to do his very best not to let something like that happen again if he thinks one of these guys is anywhere near what Mahomes is, or he feels like I can get what I believe is the best quarterback. Now, you can't get Caleb. You can't get to one, and Chicago's not going to trade out of there. But I don't know. Can you get to 4 and get your guy? Can you get to Arizona? Can you talk to the New England Patriots at this point? I mean, I'm not sure, but I think you probably have to get inside the top 5 to get a guy that he thinks is something close to Mahomes.
We talked about the Broncos potentially getting to that fourth pick in the draft and how much it would cost them. Potentially 3 first-round draft picks. And with us not having a second this year, do you feel like it's too much to give up? It'll hurt the team in the long term, or do you feel like it's what they need to do as an organization?
If it's the guy, then it's never too much. If it's the guy, whether it's Jayden or Drake or whatever it might be, if it's the guy, it's not too much. Because he's going to make everybody else on that roster better. And while you might not be able to get elite blue chippers for the next couple of years, you can begin building around your quarterback. The money isn't going to be as bad as it is this year in free agency. You just have to be very, very good. Like the Rams' last first-round pick was Jared Goff in 2016. Well, they've been to 2 Super Bowls since then. And without first-round picks because of, whether it was Jalen Ramsey, guys that they, had coveted, they still were able to draft really well in the 5th round, in the 3rd round. They hit on a lot of draft picks. So it just puts the pressure on you to hit on your picks. And that's what it will do to George Payton right now. With the 8 picks that they have, you better hit on those guys.
The Broncos have the 12th pick, but the Raiders have the 13th pick right behind him. And the Raiders, I guess, address their quarterback issue a little bit with Gardner Minshew, but that's not really a long-term solution. Which team do you think is more likely to jump up and try to draft a quarterback in the top 10?
I think the Broncos.
Yeah.
Because the Broncos, on their roster right now, it's Jared Stidham. I don't know if Ben DiNucci's there. It doesn't matter. Like, they got a guy that's – you better get yourself a guy. And, there's the carousel of these quarterbacks, like it's stopped. And so they better get their guy. I think more than what the Raiders, have to do. Aiden Hutchinson started a lot of games last year. They got Gardner Minshew. I don't think they feel nearly as, I don't know if desperate's the right word, but I think the Broncos are a lot more motivated to get a quarterback early than what the Raiders are right now.
Yeah, and the Broncos haven't made any moves at the quarterback position this offseason. They were involved in kind of a couple free agents, but didn't land any of them. But they did make a couple of moves in free agency, going with Brandon Jones at safety and then Malcolm Roach. The awesome thing about you is, Baldy, you break down film more than anyone else. What type of guys are the Broncos getting with those 2 guys?
Well, Malcolm Roach is, he's an interior defensive lineman, defense tackle. He's hard to move. He started for the Saints this year. Sean, I think just Sean subscribes to, it's the devil is better than the devil you don't know. And so all these guys, little Jordan Humphrey and Malcolm Roach, guys that he knows, has been around. I think that's a big, deal right now for Sean Payton. So go collect some guys, Troutman, get some of these guys. You look at what they're doing at safety right now, signing PJ and go and get, Brandon Jones. I think that's, they're trying to solidify some positions right now with what they have. You lose Josie Jewell, go get Cody Barton. He started games in this league. You're just trying to plug holes right now and just trying to line up with 22, first week of the season or whenever minicamp begins. Like, give me 22 starters right now that we can line up and play with.
It really seems like the Broncos are going quarterback in the first round, but if they don't, or even if, Bo Nix is the top guy on the board at 12 and they don't trade up, should they be tempted just to go after like a Brock Bowers or somebody who seems like they could be a pretty special talent who's on the board still at 12 instead of drafting, maybe reaching for a Bo Nix there?
Well, I think if Sean Payton was in this conversation with us right now, he'd say, I don't ever want to pick number 12 again. I never want to be that high in the draft. Mm-hmm. So whatever they do at 12, whether it's quarterback or a tight end like you're spending, There's a lot of great receivers in this draft. There's some excellent edge rushers, positions of needs for this Broncos team. Like you can't miss. You have to hit. Like, because if you miss, the need never goes away. All you're trying to do is just, find the next guy at tight end or edge rusher or quarterback if you miss. And it sets you back. And it puts you, you go to free agency, you overspend to find that position. So whatever they do, they have to hit big. They need an impactful player at quarterback, tight end, receiver. They need an impactful player at that position this year. The talent on this roster right now says they need to upgrade the talent. That's what first-round picks typically do for them.
So then, speaking of that, my last one for you, Baldy, is put quarterbacks to the side right now. Who is the best non-quarterback in this draft, in your opinion?
Well, I think Dallas Turner is a great player. I think there's some great offensive tackles in this draft. J.C. Latham looks like he could play right tackle in this league for a long, long time. And you'd be really set there for a long time. Dallas Turner looks to me like the best pass rusher in this draft, but, Lay too. I mean, there's guys there at that position. I love Quinyon Mitchell, but, you could say Terrion, Arnold at Alabama. You could stack these corners up pretty good. Wiggins, but I would say if I had to list one guy right now, I'd say Dallas Turner looks like he's going to be a good player right away in this draft.
I love it. I love the insight, Baldy. So pumped to have you back on, and we look forward to getting more insight with you next week.
Let's keep talking, guys. We got 29 days to the draft. A lot of things are going to happen in between now and next week. Let's come together and let's break it down.
Let's do it. I love it. Thank you so much, Baldy. We'll talk to you soon. Man, Baldy with some awesome insight and a little